A French woman fell in love. He was charming, attentive, and wealthy. He sent her photos. He sent her voice messages. He told her she was the one. There was just one problem. The man she was falling for was Brad Pitt, the real Brad Pitt, Hollywood actor, one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. And he was asking her for money. Over the course of their relationship, this woman, a successful interior decorator, wired 830,000 euros to a man she never met in person, not because she was naive, not because she was desperate, but because scammers used artificial intelligence to make the impossible feel completely real. This is the new face of romance fraud, and by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how it works and how to make sure it never happens to you or someone you love. Let us start with Anne. That is not her real name. She asked to remain anonymous, and after what happened to her, that is completely understandable. Anne was a successful interior decorator based in France. By all accounts, a smart, independent, accomplished woman. She had built her career with her own hands. She was not someone who made reckless decisions. In 2023, she began receiving messages on social media from someone claiming to be Brad Pitt. Now, before you say, how could anyone fall for that, stop. Because the operation she was caught in was not some clumsy email from a stranger. It was a sophisticated, months-long psychological campaign backed by artificial intelligence. The people behind this created fake social media profiles loaded with AI-generated images that looked authentic, personalized, real, not stolen celebrity photos that a reverse image search would expose. Completely fabricated faces built by artificial intelligence. They crafted an elaborate backstory. He was going through a difficult divorce. He was battling a kidney condition and needed medical help. He was temporarily cut off from his finances by his legal team. He was lonely. He was vulnerable. And somehow, out of everyone in the world, he had found Anne, and he had fallen deeply in love with her. Over 18 months, Anne sent 830,000 euros, not all at once, in installments, each one triggered by a new emergency. Medical bills, legal fees, a blocked account that only needed one more transfer to unlock. Every time she hesitated, the emotional pressure intensified. Every time she considered stopping, a new reason appeared that made sending more money feel like the loving thing to do. When she finally discovered the truth, that the real Brad Pitt had no idea she existed, that every message, every voice note, every declaration of love had been manufactured, she was left financially devastated and emotionally destroyed. 18 months of her life, gone. This is how it starts. Not with a request for money, not with anything suspicious, just a message that feels flattering, targeted, personal, like you were chosen. Notice the pacing. It is not rushed. It builds slowly, day by day, conversation by conversation. By day 14, he's already talking about feelings. By day 30, he's using the word love. This is not spontaneous emotion. This is a script, tested and refined across thousands of victims. And then, weeks or months in, comes the first ask. Notice how it's always framed. He hates asking. He's never done this before. He has no one else. Every word is engineered to make saying no feel cruel, to make sending money feel like loyalty, like love. And the moment she agrees, the trap closes. Because now she knows she will give. Now every future request comes wrapped in the same language. Trust, love, you're the only one. Each transfer makes the next one easier to justify. Each sacrifice deepens the emotional investment. This is called the sunk cost trap, and scammers use it deliberately. Then comes the request for secrecy. Please do not tell anyone about us yet. My team monitors everything. If this gets out before my divorce is final, it could ruin everything we have. Can you keep this between us? This is one of the most dangerous moments in the entire operation, because once a victim agrees to keep the relationship hidden, they lose access to the one thing that could save them: outside perspective. Friends and family who might ask hard questions. People who might say, "Wait, something is wrong here." Isolation is not a side effect of these scams, it is a core tactic. Secrecy is not romance. It is a trap.
What happened to Anne is not an isolated case. It is a preview of what is coming for millions of people around the world. Because artificial intelligence has completely rewritten the rules of romance fraud. Here is what scammers can do today that they could not do 5 years ago. First, AI-generated faces. Scammers no longer need to steal someone's photos and risk being caught by a reverse image search. They can now generate entirely new human faces that look completely real. Faces that do not belong to anyone. Faces that have never existed. Faces that pass every verification check a victim might run. The person in those profile photos is not a real human being, and no search engine in the world will tell you that. Second, deepfake video calls. This is the development that should concern you most. Scammers can now conduct live video calls using real-time facial filters that completely replace their appearance. Think about what that means. The reason most people feel safe asking for a video call, "If I can see them, they must be real," no longer applies. You can be staring at a live video of someone's face, and that face is completely fabricated in real time. The voice can be cloned too. Everything you see and hear can be artificial. A live video call is no longer proof that someone is real. Third, AI chatbots managing entire relationships. A single scammer operating alone used to be limited by time. They could only manage a handful of victims at once. Today, one operator running AI software can romance hundreds of victims simultaneously. The software translates languages in real time. It schedules messages to arrive at the perfect moment in your time zone. Morning greetings when you wake up, good night messages before you sleep. It remembers every detail you shared and references them naturally in future conversations. What feels like a man staying up late just to talk to you is an algorithm running 24 hours a day across hundreds of victims at once. Fourth, precision targeting through data harvesting. Before a scammer ever sends a first message, they have already studied you. They scrape their public social media pages. They learn your interests, your beliefs, your recent life events, even the names of your pets and children. If you recently posted about losing a loved one, they will open with profound empathy. If you follow travel content, he will tell you about his dream of visiting the same places. The connection you feel in those first conversations is not coincidence. It is a calculated, data-driven performance designed specifically for you. This is not the romance scam of 10 years ago. This is an industrial-scale operation powered by the same technology used by the world's biggest companies, and it is being turned against ordinary people every single day. Here's something most people never think about, because by the time it matters, the money is already gone. What actually happens to the funds after a victim sends them? The money almost never goes directly to the scammer. That would be too easy to trace. Instead, it passes through a carefully constructed chain designed to make recovery nearly impossible. The first stop is usually a money mule. This is often an innocent third party, sometimes another victim who was recruited separately and told they were processing payments for a legitimate business. They receive the funds into their personal account and forward them on, taking a small cut. They rarely know they are part of a criminal operation until law enforcement comes knocking. From the mule account, the money is typically converted into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, USDT, or other hard-to-trace digital currencies. It then moves through a series of wallets in rapid succession, a process called layering, until the original source becomes nearly impossible to identify. By the time a victim reports the fraud to their bank or to law enforcement, the money has already crossed multiple borders and passed through multiple hands. Recovery rates for romance scam losses are devastatingly low. Less than 10% of romance scam losses are ever recovered. This is why prevention is everything, because once the money leaves your account, the realistic chance of getting it back is almost zero. Law enforcement does their best, but the infrastructure these operations use is specifically designed to stay one step ahead. And behind it all is a sophisticated criminal network. These are not lone wolves sitting in bedrooms. Many romance scam operations are run by organized groups with dedicated teams. One group handles the romantic conversation, another manages the financial transactions, another recruits money mules. Some operations even have scripts and training programs for new recruits. This is a business, and your heartbreak is their revenue. Let us talk about the scale of this crisis, because most people have absolutely no idea how large it has grown. Romance scams in the United States more than tripled in 2025. In the first 9 months of 2025 alone, over 55,000 romance fraud complaints were filed, with reported losses exceeding $1.16 billion. And experts agree the real number is far higher, because shame keeps the majority of victims completely silent. For every person who reports it, many more never say a word. Older adults remain among the most targeted, often losing retirement savings built over decades. But this is no longer just an older person's problem. Younger adults, professionals, and highly educated people are being targeted in growing numbers through LinkedIn, Instagram, and investment platforms, as well as dating apps. This is a global crisis. Every continent, every age group, every income level. If you use any social platform, a dating app, Facebook, Instagram, even a professional network, this threat is in your world right now. Here's the question that haunts every victim after they discover the truth. How did I not see it? How could I have been so blind? The answer is not stupidity. It is not weakness. It is biology. When you experience romantic connection, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical triggered by food, music, laughter, and winning. It creates a feeling of warmth, safety, and euphoria. Scammers understand this chemical response intimately. They are trained to trigger it and to keep triggering it until the emotional dependency is so strong that rational thinking is overridden. The technique is called love bombing. Intense, relentless affection delivered from the very beginning. Good morning messages every day. Compliments that feel impossibly specific to you. Declarations of feelings that arrive faster than any real relationship would produce them. By the time anything feels wrong, the emotional bond is already deep. Then comes the isolation. Slowly, deliberately, the scammer positions themselves as the most important relationship in the victim's life. They encourage the victim to spend less time with friends and family. They create an us against the world narrative. They introduce the idea that the people closest to the victim wouldn't understand, would try to tear them apart out of jealousy. By the time money enters the picture, the victim's support system has often been quietly dismantled. This is why we never blame the victim. This is not a story about someone being foolish. It is a story about a predatory operation using every psychological tool available to exploit a fundamental human need, the need to love and be loved. Anyone is vulnerable. The only difference between someone who falls for this and someone who doesn't is often simply whether they were targeted. So what do you actually do? Here are 5 red flags that, if you see even one of them, should make you stop, step back, and talk to someone you trust in the real world. 1. They can never meet in person. There's always a reason. They're deployed overseas. They're on an oil rig. They're stuck in a foreign country dealing with a legal issue. They have a visa problem. In one reported case, a man claimed to be a U.S. Army surgeon deployed in Syria for 3 years, and every single time a meeting was planned, a new emergency appeared. If someone has been talking to you for weeks or months and can't find a single way to meet face-to-face, that's not bad luck. That's a deliberate strategy. 2. The relationship moves impossibly fast. Real human connection takes time. Scammers don't have time. They're working against a clock before the victim talks to someone who raises doubts. So they accelerate everything. Love within 2 weeks, marriage proposals within a month, future planning within days.
If it feels too fast, it is too fast. Trust that instinct. 3. They ask for money in untraceable forms. Gift cards, cryptocurrency, wire transfers to accounts you don't recognize. These are not convenient payment methods. They are specifically chosen because they are nearly impossible to recover once sent. A genuine person who loves you will never ask you to buy Google Play gift cards to cover their medical emergency. The moment any form of payment enters the conversation, pause everything. 4. Video calls feel off. This one is new and it's important. Even if you receive a live video call, watch carefully. Is there a slight lag between their mouth moving and the words arriving? Does their head look unusually smooth? Do the edges of their face blur slightly against the background? These are signs of real-time deepfake technology. If a video call feels even slightly wrong, end it and raise the issue directly. A genuine person will understand. A scammer will react with pressure or guilt.
5. They ask you to keep the relationship secret. As we saw in Anne's case, the request to keep the relationship hidden from friends and family is one of the most dangerous moments in the entire operation. Real relationships do not require secrecy. Real people who love you do not ask you to hide them from the people who care about you. Secrecy in a new relationship is not romance. It is isolation. And isolation is the foundation that everything else is built on. Never send money to someone you have not met in person. Not once, not ever. No matter how real the relationship feels, no matter how urgent the situation seems, no matter how long you have been talking. The moment any financial request arrives, pause. Walk away from the screen. Call a friend. Call a family member. Talk to someone in the real world before you do anything. That one conversation could save everything. Anne's story did not end in silence. She went public. She spoke to journalists, she faced the cameras and told her story knowing that people would question how it happened. She said she wanted other people to know, not out of shame, but because if one person watches her story and thinks twice before sending that wire transfer, it was worth it. That is the most powerful thing any of us can do. Share this. Talk about it. Because the person most at risk is almost always the last one who would believe it could happen to them. The confident person, the educated person, the person who said they would never fall for something like this. Awareness does not just protect you, it protects everyone around you. Romance scams are not slowing down. The technology behind them is getting more sophisticated every single year, but awareness travels faster than any scam. Every person who watches this video and shares it is part of the solution. Subscribe to Fraud Intelligence for more breakdowns of exactly how scammers operate and, more importantly, how to stop them. If this video gave you something, leave a comment below. Have you or someone you know ever been targeted by a romance scam? Your story might be the one that saves someone else. Stay safe, stay alert. We will see you in the next one.